Can you see me? Can you hear me? Let's see if I can access this on the other side and see if we are live. Let me know if you see me. I see one or two coming on, but that means nothing. See if you can see me. See if you can see me. Yeah, it's showing live. Okay, perfect. All right, guys, we're going to give everybody a chance to jump on in. We have to do it on the phone. For some reason, my internet service just will not allow me to do it live just on the computer. I don't know why. It's crazy. So we're going to try to get on here and hopefully everybody will jump on. Hey, great. There's about 6 or 7 people starting to get on. Good. All right, so we'll let everybody get on first, and then we will go and start the conversations. We have some news stories that we wanted to talk about that were pretty big, especially when you talk about the farming community, talk about your family, and then we'll discuss a global story, and then we're going to just jump into question and answer. And so I'm going to try to follow, again, sorry guys, it's up and down. It's only because I have to do it on my phone when it comes to lives. The lives, when I try to do it on the computer, it cuts me off. And y'all kind of know that. So we will try to do this. Hopefully I will not get kicked off. If I do, I'll jump back on and try to finalize the live. But I'm pretty disgusting. I've been planting. We've been in the gardens today. We went to church earlier and then jumped right in the gardens. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go live because I have not been live in the last few days. And I told you guys, I want to go live and spend some time with you. So I see we got about 200 people on here so far. Okay, so let's jump into the stories I want to talk about right quick. And then right after the stories, we're going to run some question and answers. You shoot me the questions. I want to answer as many as you can. Again, thank you guys already for the likes and the hearts coming in. It means the world to me. It helps me spread our message across this platform. So I cannot thank y'all enough. So I'm going to get these stories pulled up. And then once we talk about these stories, we're going to answer questions y'all have that y'all want to talk about. And then that way we will be all on the same page. All right, so let's get these stories pulled up. The first one I want to mention, let's see. I say that and all of a sudden it won't pull up. Here we go. All right, first story I want to talk about is this one right here. There's a new story. This just came out. This podcast came out today. And I was like, we need to talk about that because we've mentioned it before and hadn't really said enough about it. But Secretary Rollins was on the All In podcast with one of their commentators. And I love the All In podcast. I really do. But this is a quote for her. And then it kind of goes back to us talking about food and the quality of food, especially for the ones we pay for and the ones we don't want and buy ourselves, but we have our taxpayers paying for. So listen to what she says. I thought this was good. It says, why are billions of taxpayer dollars being spent on sugary drinks and junk food? The backside is the obesity and chronic disease epidemic, unlike developed countries have. The history of the world does not see the kind of problems that America sees. And we're one of the richest nations in the world. Why are we seeing this sickness and disease problem and obesity problem? Well, it probably goes back to government subsidizing sugary drinks and junk food. It says 74%, listen to this, I thought this was huge. 74% of our teenagers could not even pass a military readiness test. Now, I'm not saying that because I want everybody to go to the military. That's not what I'm saying. But the sad thing is, if we are raising children to be lethargic, lazy on tablets and games and digital forms, and then on top of that, to then say, okay, we are not only condoning and giving you the freedom to buy the junk food. Again, there's nothing wrong with eating a cake here and there or a dessert here and there. I'm carnivore and I'm pretty strict on my diet, so I really don't eat a lot of junk. But there's nothing wrong with eating cookies and enjoying some of that. Problem is, if that is your whole diet. And what she was saying to the All In Pod was, look, we have made a problem because we want clean diets, but then our money has been taken from us through taxes. And then all of a sudden, they're using this to buy not a few good products and then a few bad products. They're buying all bad sugary drinks, bad chips, bad junk. She said, overwhelmingly, the money that we use to pay towards EBT and food stamps overwhelmingly is going to sugary drinks, junk food, and bad food for our diets. So we wonder why we have an obesity problem or a chronic disease epidemic, which again hits us on the other side. Because if you're thinking about the taxpayer, think of how much money it's going to take when all of a sudden we have to then treat everyone that's growing older with Medicaid, Medicare, or some kind of government insurance. It's just a really bad thing. I think back when I was young, you started really seeing a lot of snacks. And it was one of those things that nobody actually thought it was bad for you. Everybody thought, well, since the FDA approved it, it's good. I remember do you remember the food pyramid? Do y'all remember the food pyramid? And it was like, the main stuff was like grains and cereals and all that. Like when I think back, I'm like, how stupid were we that we actually believed that? And it was okay to eat sugary snacks, but really on the bottom, just pure grain, pure GMO junk. And then like fruits and vegetables was like, oh, just a few little servings here and there, mostly just greens, you know. And I thought, wow, that's crazy. So it's amazing that we're allowing some of this stuff to happen. Now, the thing I have a problem with is this. If I choose not to spend my money on these sugary drinks and snacks, because they tend to be more expensive, they tend to be junk food for us, then why do we want our taxpayer dollars allowing that to take place too? So I think this is great. Brooke Rollins is saying, look, we're going to stop this. She's almost really truly bought into the RFK movement of the MAHA. Now, I'll be honest with you, when she was first chosen, I was a little worried about her because I didn't think she was as staunch on these beliefs, but actually she's done really good. So I'm anxious to see what the new rollouts are, because like today, I have this video I have tonight coming out at 5:30. Check it out, because it touches this right here, with food and FDA, and touches what some states have already done to farmers. So don't miss out on this, and that's why I wanted to bring this story up. I just didn't get to it in today's video, but I'm telling you, it's a good thing to think about. Is why are we? Here's what I say, honestly. If we want to help Americans and we want to give them food, I think back of, you used to see the old WIC distributors, or used to see the food banks. And if we know that grains like rice, and we know that flour, and we know that oats and all those things, if you buy them in the raw form, you're paying less money for them. They're very good price. So you could turn around and put that on the shelves for people to be able to get and have good quality food, have grains that are satiating and fulfilling, but then also offer some protein like some dried eggs, some dried whey. A lot of those things, if people had to just live on that, which is healthy stuff, but if they just had only healthy food and healthy choices, it may make them say, you know what, I may need to go back to work and not just, because I want the nasty snacks. I may want to do more so I can provide that. Sad, but it's just true. So if we allow people just to live on junk food, and we're paying for it, no one's ever going to straighten it out. So I think this is a good thing that they're doing. Now, another story I want to bring up I did not get to, and I thought this was funny because this goes along with the video tonight too. This came out from Leading Report. It says the United Nations is reportedly running low on funds and may run out of money in the coming months. Now listen to that now. The United Nations is reportedly running low on funds and may run out of money in the coming months. Now, there's probably maybe 1 or 2 or 3% of what United Nations does for people may be good, but for the majority, I hope this happens. I think what happens is when we see these big global agencies, they never really work for us, and they actually work against us while taking our money. Do you realize that? United Nations needs America to fund them. It's kind of like we talked about with the WHO. If our money is going to them and then they're making more problems for Americans, why do we keep giving them money? Well, like we talked about, Congress and Senate are really the problem here. It's not the presidents. Even though we might not like certain presidents on the left, to be honest with you, most of the problem goes to the funding is from Congress. So we need to make sure that we remember that, even when we elect presidents or when we have a bad president, quote unquote bad president, is that most of these fundings, yeah, the president says things, but when it comes down to it, who holds the purse is Congress. So I think it's great that Trump pulled money back from some of these big groups. I'm glad that the Republicans believed in that. Now the question is are you going to see Congress and Senate trying to fund United Nations now that they're complaining that they're not getting their funds back from America? NATO has done this, WHO has done this, and now all of a sudden United Nations. All those three done anything for us per se. You know what I'm saying? They've not really done anything for Americans. They've just taken Americans' money and not actually done things to benefit us. So here's some more stories I want to hit on. Is this smart? Are we actually spending our money wisely? Think about what you do at your house. Do you spend your money wisely? If you don't, then you need to re-examine what you're spending your money on. So I think this is a good thing. Now, this is probably the biggest story I want to mention before we talk about question and answering. This is insanity, and this goes back to Congress. Charlie Kirk dropped this report. It says, Judge James Boasberg, if you remember him, he's the one that's been trying to hurt Trump lately. Judge James Boasberg may be the one to appoint the next U.S. Attorney of D.C. only because Senate Republicans do not confirm Ed Martin soon. He will get to a point, this liberal judge who cannot stand Trump may be the one to appoint the new attorney general for D.C. if the Senate does not confirm Trump's pick and the guy who is already there, Ed Martin. There are senators blocking his appointment, the person that Trump wants there. If the Republican Senate blocks them just for a few more days and weeks, it's May 20th. If they do not appoint this guy by then, a liberal judge who does not like Trump, who is trying to defy him all the way, will be the one to actually appoint the new attorney general under Trump. So Trump may not get to even appoint this person, not because Democrats, because Republicans are not taking this up. They actually said that Tom Tillis was against him. Several of these rhino Republicans are against this guy. And so now what they're going to do is they're going to hold this guy up, and all of a sudden, who's going to get to appoint him? The judge who is absolutely against Trump. So then they're going to get to put whoever they want in there. So that's absolutely crazy. We need to pay attention to that story. No one is talking about that, and it needs to be brought up because it's a big deal. It says the Senate must confirm Ed Martin now. If they do not, we're going to hurt ourselves, and it's only because the Senate Republicans choose not to take it up. Is that not crazy? Crazy. All right, guys. So that's the main 3 stories I wanted to touch on the live. We've only been on for 11 minutes, so we got a few more minutes for sure on questions. So now shoot me questions. It could be about news. It could be about prepping. It could be about homesteading. It could be about animals. I may not know all the answers, but I sure can try to give an educated guess to it, or at least give you my opinion on it. And that's what I really want to try to work together, and we can try to figure out how to be more common sense approach and oriented to have wisdom as we try to seek and live in this crazy world. So let's look at some questions. I think I saw one come across already. I'm going to be moving to, let's see. Gold Top Rob says, go vegan. I'm not going vegan. I'm actually more carnivore. Actually, I could pass up on vegan. I could go straight carnivore. We don't realize, especially people, we need red meat. It's actually very good and very nutrient rich. Where did you start when you started farming? Was it with chickens or with what? What is your backstory? Okay, so here's my backstory. Me and my wife got married in 06. We were high school sweethearts. We were high school sweethearts, got married, moved into a little townhome, built this garden that was about a 20 by 10 tiny garden. Couldn't even feed us one meal. It was one of those situations where it was just so small. You know, it couldn't do anything. But it gave us the reasoning to start thinking about gardening. Gardening is one of those things where we started. Misty was a nurse, and I was in I was in a field where I saw sickness too. So it's one of those things where I wanted to make sure that we were getting wholesome food, and this before we had any children. So we said, let's start gardening. So we started buying better quality food, but we were broke. So we were like, let's just start growing some food. So we started growing the food. Once we started growing the food, then we started getting chickens because we were like, okay, we need fertilizers to feed the food. So we moved out of the townhouse, moved to a little house in the country. It was a family. It was a little family home. Had a little bit bigger yard, had like 2 acres. And so we grew a bigger garden, had some chickens. We had chickens for like 3 years and they would never lay. Now this is like 15, 16 years ago, 17 years ago, something like that. And I mean, we couldn't get them to lay. So we had all these random chickens we were feeding. They were not really helping us any. We didn't know what we were doing. That's actually how we started though. And then we moved here, which was about, I guess, 13 years ago or so. And we really started growing, learning, getting wisdom, and not getting in too deep. We started with gardens again. Started with chickens, understanding regenerative agriculture with chickens, and then moved into all the rest of the animals, which we have cow, pig, sheep. We have a different kind of hog. We have a different kind of cow. There's different versions of that. So, JSR, I'm probably not intelligent, and I'm not on meds for sure. Oh, people. All right, let's go. I was a nurse for 30 years until I lost a leg infection. My wife was a nurse. She loved it, but she knew it was more important to her to be home with our children. So once we had Harley, our second child, she realized that was where she wants to be. All right, question. Who pays the tariff? All right, this is an easy question. Don't listen to the media when it comes to tariffs. We went from a few years after we got done with the Civil War, and all the way through to World War One. The only time we ever charged tax was when we were in wartime. We charged it for a season and then stopped. Season and then stopped. Why? Because tariffs came over because people wanted to do business here. If we tap into our resources and we start getting the things that we need, there is a map. Go online and you type it in and say, what are the minerals, rare earth minerals in America that we can utilize that we would not have to buy from other countries? We literally have almost everything that we need to be completely sustainable. So then people want to do business with us. So they're willing to pay the actual tariff. They've done it for years. We just chose to start taxing our people instead of allowing the same thing that made it for history in America to keep on going. Let's go back to that, try it out, and that's actually what's going to happen. You're not going to have to pay the tariff. It has nothing to do with paying the tariff. The tariff is paid by the person that wants to do the business. If I want to start a business, who pays for the business to start up? Well, I do have clients and I do want them to pay me, but ultimately I have to open the business to do the business, to start it to sell to the consumer. So if China, India, Ethiopia, whoever wants to sell us goods, they're going to pay whatever it is to get into that business, to start tapping into 350 million people who are not considered poor, who will be wanting to buy the things that we can have and consume. Thoughts on India? I think it's actually very good that we have this agreement going on. I think India they're not like us in culture, but they are like us with being a little bit scared of China and not liking them as the best friend, looking at them as truly an adversary. So we need to make sure that we are paying attention to keeping fairness now, because we could do the same thing we did with, to be honest with you, we could do the same thing and have the same problem that we have with China if we're not careful, especially if the wrong person gets in charge. So we need to make sure that, what we're doing is being smart, being smart. All right, let's see. Do you think we will ever get the Doge checks? I personally don't, and I don't know if I want the Doge checks. I just want you to quit taking my tax dollars. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the best thing for me is just to say, look, I don't want you to give me my money back in a stipend. I just want you to quit taxing me, cut my taxes, and start being wiser when it comes to how you spend my money that we do have. So, all right, anything else? Any other questions on some of those things I saw there? Is there anything else? Let's see. Thank you for everything you do with Misty. Well, hey, thank you. We love being able to share our life. Let's see. How much richer do you think we should let billionaires get? Mario, I honestly don't believe that's really. Here's my thought. Does someone need hundreds of billions of dollars? No, absolutely. They'll never spend it. But to say we're going to start marketing to a point where we're not going to allow people to make a certain amount of money, I think that's dangerous. And to say we're going to overtax them. Now, here's the thing. If people make as much money as they make, no big deal. They should not get extra benefits and subsidies and extra bonuses, basically, to do the business. Now, if they open business and they're, for instance, like Jensen Hung is coming in and he's making $800 billion investment in NVIDIA in America. Now, he's a billionaire and his company is very well needed. So it's not fair for us to say, well, no, you can't make a certain amount of money, because what he's doing is, as an entrepreneur, he's going to keep on trying to promote, keep on trying to grow, keep on trying to progress. Same way with Elon Musk, or same way with any of these billionaires. I don't think they need special privileges. I don't think they need special access. But to say that we're going to stop them from making money is a very dangerous precedent, I think. And then I think that number then goes, well, could it go lower? Could it go lower? Could it go lower? And then you go back to, well, who's a billionaire? Who's a millionaire? If they own a lot of land, is it wrong for a farmer to own thousands of acres of land? And he's considered a millionaire, a decamillionaire, but to be honest with you, he has no money. He just has his land. Is that considered, well, we're going to take his land because he's got to pay tax? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a slippery slope that I don't think we need to go down to. Shauna, I don't even know if I do or not. Here, I'll throw you on there. Do you want to be a moderator? Let me know if you do. Kobe, do you have any advice on how to gain weight? Doctor says I'm 20 pounds underweight. Protein. Eat protein and healthy fats. You don't want to gain fat a lot, but if you eat protein and you're being wise, your weight will balance out. Why do you have to pay for their tax break? Why do we have to pay for their tax breaks? I agree, Mario. I don't believe that they deserve tax breaks. Now, I believe their companies, if they're making thousands of jobs, I think we should not tax them, overtax them. But I agree. I think there's nothing wrong with everybody paying. Let me say this: I don't like tax. Period. I think they should all be tariff. Or if we're going to tax, let's just do a flat tax. Flat tax of 8%, 5%, 10%. If we do a flat tax of 10%, if you got $100 billion in the bank or $100 in the bank, you pay 10%. That would be the best. Let's see. Hey, more questions, guys. Sure, Shauna. Here you go. All right, I think I made you one. All right, okay, let's see. Give you some more questions, guys. I say, what are your thoughts on companion planting tomatoes with squash and zucchini? I read different things about it. Squash and zucchini, remember, you don't want to plant squash and zucchini, even though they're the same thing. You don't want to plant them together because they're going to cross-pollinate, and then you'll have a squash-kini or a squash that looks like a zucchini or a zucchini that looks like a squash. So plant them apart. I don't plant them real close together because your pollinators are going to actually cross-pollinate, and you'll have a really weird-looking thing. Same way with watermelon. Tomatoes, I would plant with tomatoes. I do marigold and basil. That's what we plant with our tomatoes. That's a good companion planting with that. The other things, again, they're going to bring pollinators in. If you're planting squash with them, don't plant zucchinis with them, or vice versa. Can you grow plants indoors? Yes, Jojo. I have tons of videos in my stockpile and my food playlist down below. Check out that playlist. We talk about 10 things you can grow in pots, 5 things you can grow indoors, even down to using grow lights. We use grow lights, and we grew tons of stuff indoors. Microgreens are another thing. So it's not about taking your whole 100%. You can't grow everything indoors, but you can grow enough to make a benefit there. I plant onions with tomatoes. Yeah, I mean, onions are fine. Be careful with onions because they're not always companion with everything, but that's not a bad thing. We plant onions around our beds of potatoes. We do. All right, let's see. As a farmer, are you paying attention to the UN's 30-30 and 50-50 land grab? I think here's the thing when it comes to farmers, and I'm talking about this in the 530 video. Please go check it out because it's something very serious about seizing farmland. I think farmers, Amish, sustainable living, regenerative ag, homesteading, those things are intimidating to governments and to the way of politicians because those are independent, and they can do things on their own. So I think the UN, I think Canada, and we're going to talk about in a big story today. We're going to talk about the U.S. and some of the liberal states today. But I think parts of the world wants to get away from that because they want your dependence versus independence. And I think that scares them. And I think that's part of the UN land grab. I think that's why Gates is buying so much land. I think that's why China's buying so much land. I think they know that if they can stop you from being independent, then what's the opposite of that? You become dependent. And that's a big deal on the farm and the land grabs. Check that out. I got a great video coming out at 5:30 about that, to be honest with you. Let's see. Kevin, look, you know what? It may help. I'll be honest with you because, to be honest, they're holding up this United States Attorney General that Trump and conservatives want, and they're going to allow a liberal judge to appoint that spot, and it's all because Senate Republicans. And remember, they're not even taking up the bill to pass a budget until July 4th. They have literally 2 months to do it, and they're not going to do it until July 4th. So then they can negotiate and tell you it's at the very end of the deal, and they're going to shut down, so they got to give a lot. So it's going to happen. We have a lot to learn from the Amish. We have, and here's the thing. You don't have to be Amish. You could just simply say, look, let's just learn to help each other. Let's learn to live in community and benefit each other. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think if we would just learn to say, you know, it's okay to help your neighbor. At the same time, if I'm growing milk and cows, why don't you grow corn and flour and grain, and then we can work together and we can barter and we can live happily ever after. You really can do it. It's really possible. I had a guy today picking up feed from me. He could have went to a co-op and got junk food. He could have went to Tractor Supply, but no, he chose to come here because he knows the quality food is there, not because I'm growing it. This is a grain I'm buying, but we're working together to feed animals to have a more regenerative outlook. We're working together, bartering goods. I have another friend that's coming to borrow some bee stuff from me because he knows I have bees and he's going to try to catch some for himself. And so we're working together for the good of the community. That's good. You don't have to be an Amish to do that, but you can learn from them for sure. Let's see. I made it a lot of. Thank you, Lisa, for coming on. And again, hey, if you can, give us a thumbs up. It means the world to us. Any other questions? Shoot me some questions. Yeah, Victoria, I think the more that we just become independent, the more that no matter what anybody tells us, we're able to do what we want to do. And I think that scares them. Last year, we put strawberries in a raised bed. In the fall, we covered it with a thick layer of straw. My question is, do I need to take off some of that straw, or will it hurt to leave them on there? Depending on what kind of straw, I don't know what kind of straw you're using, if you're using like a ryegrass straw or if you're using like pine straw. Remember, pine straw adds acidity, so be careful there. If you're going to mulch something, maybe use hardwood mulch or composted mulch like leaf mulch. That will help not add any problems to your soil, as in making it more acidic or more alkaline. If you're planting around blueberries now, blueberries love pine straw because they want acidity. We don't even cover our strawberries, but we're zone 8B, so it won't get real cold. The top leaves will die off, but we keep the bottoms heavily mulched with compost, and we do good. Broke down to detox. Okay, when I detoxed, I cleaned my diet up. I fasted, and I do a lot of apple cider vinegar, cinnamon, and lemon juice. Do that several times a day. Clean your diet up. Take just aminos and electrolytes in only, and you will detox, my friend. And it will probably not be fun, but you will detox and clean your body up. If you're doing a 3 or 7 day fast or detox, fasting is probably a little bit better. Then you go to intermittent fasting and then go back to normal. Are there any homestead events in Mississippi or near Mississippi? No, Sherry. The crazy thing is, it's not really. I mean, homesteading, sadly, in the South is much as country as Mississippi is. It just doesn't, there's not a lot of homesteaders. Deep South and South Mississippi used to do one, but they don't do one anymore. So it's kind of one of those cases, but there's nothing we can do. I mean, we go to one. We used to go to one in Louisiana. They used to have one. We used to go to one in Alabama. They used to have one. They don't have them anymore. The only ones that are closest to us is probably Tennessee, or if you go to the bigger events, that's in Virginia or Oklahoma. That'd probably be the ones for sure. And we've traveled. We spoke at some. But they're good to go to, but it's one of those things you are going to travel for those events for sure. Do you have any printable for how much having prepped for family? Okay, I don't have printable. I do have a video on stockpile and how much I stockpile, little cub. Check out there's one called, it's in my playlist called stocking and prepping must-haves, and one says stockpile how much. And we talk about some of those things and how much we have of each, of every prep, just so you could have an idea. Do you have a name for your homestead? We're just the Max. The name used to be longer, but we just have our homestead here in Mississippi. Let's see. Thank you to Miss Tammy for coming on. We appreciate you. Mary Dean, thank you too. Marie Dean, sorry. Let's see. Saw you at the Okie Homestead Conference the first year, as they did at great conference. It is a great conference. They've done it every year. We've spoke at it every year, but this year we had a lot of things going on. Sean with Keeping It Dutch is a dear friend, and Daniel Arms, all those guys are great. Hidden Heights, all of them are great people. We just could not make it this year, but a phenomenal event. If you're looking for a great homesteading event, that is a good one. I see you have potatoes to harvest already. When do you plant them, and are they outside? I live in Idaho and can't plant until early May. Right, we're in Zone 8B, so we literally plant on Valentine's Day or somewhere around that Valentine's Day. And we will harvest, they're starting to bloom now, so we'll harvest probably in the next 3 weeks or so. Now we'll plant sweet potatoes, or we started already planting sweet potatoes the last few weeks, and that we'll grow them all the way till August, September, October, just depending on when it starts getting cold, and they can stay in the ground forever. In Mississippi, that's our main crop, is sweet potato. We can grow tons of them. Where in OK is the event? It is in Pryor, Oklahoma, barbecue bean. Welcome, Brenda. Did you see me ask about eggs? I did not. Carol, re-ask that question, and I'll see if I can answer it. Who is your land grant university, and are they helpful to you? Okay, so if you watch the fishing video, The fishing video, the Mississippi State University Extension Service helped us with the fishing situation. They do pretty good around here. Now they are more conventional, so they're okay with fertilizers and all that kind of stuff. So they don't agree with everything that we do because we're definitely more regenerative and we teach on regeneration and homesteading. So they are helpful, but at the same time they've toured our homes. They had a big master gardeners group tour our home, but in our farms and gardens. But it's funny because we do things so different. We don't take Miracle Grow or Osmocote and put on anything. We literally take cow manure and chicken manure and rabbit manure and mix it all up, and we make our own compost and fertilizer, and it just kind of blows their mind. So they are good, helpful. They are very helpful. The archery that my girls have been shooting in, that's an event put on by our extension service through that university. So they are good for sure. They are definitely not as regenerative thinking as we are. How do you put eggs? How do you put up the eggs? I would like to do that, but I have no idea. It's simple, complicated. Give me at least a couple sentences. Okay, Carol, go to my wife's video, water glassing eggs. If you're getting raw eggs from and I say raw, meaning non-washed farm eggs. If you're getting those, you can water glass the eggs and they'll last for years. If you're buying them from the store, some people, I'm not gonna tell you we've done it because we don't buy eggs from a grocery store, but if you are, you can. There's certain ways you can put glycerin on them, and you can do the water glassing. But the best thing to do is just get them from a farm. Right now, chickens are laying like crazy. Go to anybody who's got backyard chickens, and they'll probably sell you some eggs for dirt cheap. But you can water glass using pickling lime. Check with my wife's video. It's a great video, very easy tutorial, like 10 minutes long. If you're not going to do that, we freeze dry, we dehydrate, and then we also put up those eggs like that. That's another way you can put up for years. If you're not going to do that, you can literally freeze the egg. And that's another way that you can put them up as well. We put them up. We actually make little egg muffins, and especially because I'm a carnivore, and we'll put like sausage and bacon in there, cook them in the oven, and then put them in the freezer. So we put them up several different ways. Water glassing is probably the most common. Do you raise meat rabbits? Yes, we have meat rabbits. We do mini Rex and New Zealands. You and your family are inspirational. Thank you, Lisa. That means the world to us. What should I plant sweet potatoes in South California, and should you plant them in a ground or raised bed? Raised beds are easier to control and easier to dig up, but we have them everywhere. We have them in raised beds because we like them, but we plant some in the ground too. Depending on what zone you're in, if Southern California, you're going to be in a hotter zone, so you can plant them probably right now. Like we're zone 8B, so we're planting, but your soil needs to be that 70, 80 degrees, and you can plant them, and they will stay in the ground for a long time, do well. They need water right at front. But once they start growing, they'll take off and do well. Sweet potatoes, you can eat the sweet potato and also the leaves. It is a great, great way to make greens. You cannot do that with regular potatoes. The tops are not good for you. Actually, can cause you to be very, very sick. Do not give them to your animals, nothing like that. But with sweet potatoes, everybody can eat. Your animals can eat it, and it's one of the best crops that you can grow, the most healthiest carbs, for sure. Okay, Colby, your schedule with the farm and the day job, how many hours do you sleep at night? I literally go to sleep around 11 to 11:30. Some days I go to 10, 10:30. Get up at 4, milk. From 4 to 6, I have a video on this on the Life of Colby Mack, but 4 to 6, I do outside chores, milk, handle all animals. From 6 to 7, I run or work out. 7 o'clock, I film. 8 o'clock, go to work. Work till 5, and then come home, do a few more chores, getting ready for the next day. And I am a workaholic. Me and my wife both are. But that's my schedule. I started infested with roly-polies. Tried DE, did not work. What else can you use? There is, you can look for OMRI, O-M-R-I, OMRI listed pesticides. They're not anything chemicalized. It's mostly made up of detergents and stronger neem oils and things like that. I would look for something like that, and they may help you get rid of some of that. If you are having roly-polies, what that is probably your soil is too wet or too damp, is not getting enough sun, and it may have too much compost. So you may want to dig some of that out and get some drier mulch in there, and that may help you too. Let's see, I plant potatoes in shopping bags indoors. Yes, there's nothing wrong with planting them in shopping bags at all. That's a great idea. Let's see. Shoot me some questions. I think I saw one question and I just missed it, so I'm trying to answer them for you guys. I'm sorry. what kind of freeze-dried bags and absorbers you use. We use a Mylar bag. We get ours from our dehydrating, basically tablet. All the bags, everything that we get from Harvest Right. I couldn't get that out. Sorry, guys. Harvest Right, because we have a freeze dryer through them. We buy all our stuff from them because their bags are great quality and seem like they do very well. And also the little oxygen absorbers do well through them too, and they're made for food. Where do you purchase your bulk grains such as millet, bulgur, wheat, and quinoa? We buy ours from either Azure Standard or we'll order strictly online from an organic seed producer. I tell you to always buy ancient grains, quinoa, millet, buckwheat, oh gosh, kumut, like K-A-M-U-T, some people say kamut, rye. All those are very good to have. And then red winter wheat, white winter wheat. I think it's wise to have not just flours, but to have all kind of grains. I think it's a very, very good move. Piggly Ace today, since it's got too many absolutely drops, is what we do. Really enjoy catching your live shows. Thank you, Carl. We try to do these live shows so we can answer any questions y'all may have, because sometimes I can't get to all the comments on the YouTube channel for sure. So I want to try to answer as many comments as I can. And again, if you have a personalized question you want to ask me, you can connect me. There's a fee there. You can email us. We struggle getting all the emails, but you can connect me if you want like a personalized question answered that's important to you. It's like $6, $7, not like much, but I can't help that. I don't charge that. They charge that. But if you do need to answer a question personally, if it's not on the live, I'd love to answer those for you. Do you have a natural way to keep bugs off peach trees? Mine always have slime on them. The only way we do it is we just aggressively look. Our plum tree this time of year is the same way. We've just learned to keep neem oil. We've learned to keep a lot of DE around it. We've learned to plant things that animals don't like to be around. So we plant a lot of herbs around bases, and that helps keep things off the trees. Do you purchase long-lasting water like this 25 years? Yeah, we keep ours in food-grade buckets. They have like what they call bricks. It's water grade, food grade containers for long-term storage. We have those. We have purification tablets, and then of course we have tons of videos on how we can purify like rivers, lakes, and things like that too. But we do put water up, and we also do rainwater catchment off roofs. We're going to be doing a video on Life of Colby Mack very, very soon on that. Let's see. I freeze dry all my herbs. Yes, we do. We freeze dry a lot, and then we also, of course, dehydrate some too, and we put them up for herbal remedies and things like that. All right, let's see. Anything else? See, let's see. I've got about another 2 minutes on here. Shoot me some more questions, guys. See if I can answer for you. Hey, my live is working. You know why it's working? Because I'm doing it on my phone, which I don't like the up and down. I actually like it longer, but I can't actually do it on the computer. Hey, thanks, Lisa, so very much. Thank you very much for the $5 for sure. Please help me. Please help for snails and whiteflies on collards and broccoli. I would learn to use netting. Netting is a good thing that we use on things like collards and broccoli and cabbage. So we use netting. They're like bug nets. The thing is, you can't trap them in there. So we use neem oil. We also clear the soil back. You may be getting it too wet if you have whiteflies and snails. Yes, they need compost. Yes, they need mulch, but you may want to bring a little bit back and let it rest for a little bit and dry. It may be a little too damp. For sure, that's probably what it is. Whiteflies are hard to get rid of. There are some sprays. They're called Omri, O-M-R-I. That is organic sprays. That would be another great thing. Mimsy, thank you so very much for coming on. Yeah. What about moles? How do you get rid of them pet friendly? Oh gosh, that's a horror, Michelle. We don't have a lot of moles here in our area. But what we used to do is if we see a mole trail, no matter where it was, we would put a shovel at the very end, and that would help us make sure that we could stop them. And then if we couldn't run them out, then we would learn to smoke them out. I'd get like a bee smoker, and like my bee smoker, and smoke them out. Do you think the Doge let's see, what do you think about Doge reevaluating congressmen and congresswomen? Kathleen, it needs to be done. It will never be done because it's too risky. And if you really saw what these congressmen and congresswomen were getting in kickbacks, it would upset you to a point where it'd probably cause a civil war. Truth, complete truth. Did you see that story I did yesterday? And Doge actually released on Fox saying for every amount of money spent, only 10% actually leaves the U.S. So say we're sending money to Ethiopia, to Ukraine, to you know, have goats in Peru. Only 10% is actually going overseas. Most of it stays right here and makes it in the pockets of a lot of people. I believe a lot of that's congressmen. All right. What they'll start laying usually around 6 to 10 months, Michelle. All right, guys, I think that's it. I'm going to try to jump off here. It's been on 40 minutes, so we wanted to spend time with you. Remember, please watch today's video. It talks about land grabs and talks about how if we're independent, then we're not going to be dependent. And that dependency is what they're wanting. So if you're independent, guess what? Guess what? They're coming for you. And I got the stories to prove it. So check out today's video, 5:30. It's going to be a good one. You need to pay attention to it. Share it with your friends for sure. I'm glad we got on this live. I love getting on lives. I love being answer questions as much as we can. It means the world to us for sure. Nice beard, bro. Dude, look, it's starting to get gray. You see that? That's not good. That's what farming, less sleep, and 6 kids do to you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. Share our content if you can. It means the world to us, and our goal is to do as much as we can to teach common sense and wisdom and regenerative ag to be independent.